Great to see you today here on Facebook for my Facebook Live show. So lots of fun things to do today, lots of stuff to talk about. I know a couple of guests who've reached out to me during the week and are asking to mix and mingle, and I'll be sure to call on you a little bit later in the show. So first off, we have a guest, and I'm going to go look for her. She's one of my grad students. So let me go find her. And give me just a minute because there's lots of people over here. Kathy Hetwer, here you are. So I'll invite Kathy Hetwer up on the screen. Wait for Kathy to come.
Hi, Deborah. Can you hear me all right?
I can, Kathy. Great to see you.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. So you have a really interesting topic. I remember seeing you on stage and a few months ago talking about your experiences with overcoming the need for narcotic pain medication. And I think our Facebook followers and listeners would love to hear about it because it's actually, you were taking it for medicinal reasons, but you know that opioids have become the big problem in the U.S. these days. So you have a lot to talk about here, Kathy, a lot to teach. So go ahead.
Great. Well, thank you for this amazing opportunity to speak publicly about chronic pain. It's something that's not spoken of widely in public. So thanks for having me. My name is Kathy Hetwer, and I've had chronic pain for 18 years. And I'd like to talk to the people here about overcoming chronic pain with meditation. And I know it seems impossible. Something so simple could have such a profound effect on pain, but I'm living proof it works. So maybe I'll tell you a bit about my story. In June of 2000, I had yet another surgery for endometriosis. I had one remaining ovary left, and it had gotten to the size of a grapefruit, and they feared it was cancer. So they went in and took my last remaining organ out in that area. It was very successful for taking care of the pain from endometriosis, but it left me with a really terrible chronic headache that has not gone away in 18 years.
Speak a little bit about that so people don't think they're going to get a headache if they have surgery. Tell them what happened, because it's really quite rare, I think.
Yeah, it is very rare. And the best I can come up with is I probably had a small stroke while in surgery, and that caused the chronic pain. There's no really strong conclusive evidence of what it exactly is, but that's their best guess as far as the neurologists go and the pain management docs. That's what they're thinking. It has nothing to do with having surgery for endometriosis. That's a very fine option for people with that condition. But for me, I got this chronic head pain.
And let me just ask one more question, if you don't mind my interrupting. Did it take care of the endometriosis?
Absolutely.
So you traded one pain for another.
I traded one pain for another. So I've been working with endometriosis since my very early 20s with troubled pregnancies and all that. So we did many different treatments for that, and the treatment that I was needed was surgery. And it was a really good treatment. Worked very well. But I ended up with this headache pain. And, I did what people do. They go and they take an aspirin and an Advil, and that, really wasn't working. And I went to the doctors, and they gave me more pain medication. And they sent me to specialists who gave me more pain medication. And we did a lot of investigation into why this pain might be here, many different treatments, many different procedures. I went to University of Minnesota. I went to Mayo Clinic. I went to a headache hospital in Chicago. And according to my pharmacy records, I took 288 different medications to try to take care of this pain, including fentanyl patches, fentanyl lollipops, Oxycontin, you name it. I took it. I was a very good patient. antidepressants, sleeping pills, you name it. I had a plethora of amber-colored vials all around my house, trying to take care of the pain.
For how long, Kathy?
Until 2005. So I took them
for 5 years. I'm so amazed that you didn't get so addicted that you weren't just, locked in a little room for the rest of your life.
I was kind of locked in a little room for about 2 years. I stayed in bed, just absolutely strung out on medication, absolutely out of my mind. Couldn't function, definitely couldn't work, couldn't cook, couldn't really do anything. I stayed in bed. And I do not remember those 2 years.
How old were you had children at the time?
Yes, we had 4 children. 2 were out of the house and 2 were teenage girls.
Oh my God. I can't imagine.
Oh, it was so difficult. Wow. It was so difficult having them look at me, just bewildered, and mom wasn't there. It was very, very hard on them. The narcotics don't just interfere with the person taking them. They radiate out into the family. My husband was under a great deal of stress. My children were under a great deal of stress. And we had to do something. We had to do something. And, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So in 2005, my husband and I and my doctor, we all sat down, and she went over my records and said, we've done everything. There's nothing left. If we give you any more medication, you're going to die. So let's just...
Your liver had it?
Well, basically, if they gave me more medication, I'd stop breathing. Because that's one thing that opioids and narcotics do is just being able to breathe. And they weren't working.
That's how people OD on them. They stop breathing.
They stop breathing. And that just wasn't really an option for me, although it sounded like a good idea of just quitting. I definitely was suicidal at this point. Taking all the drugs, the pain wouldn't go away, but I was numb and dumb. Wasn't here. So I went through withdrawal. And I didn't know. And I don't recall the doctors ever telling me that, I was a good little girl, and I took the medicine exactly when I was supposed to. And we had charts all over the house, and my husband would separate my pills and make sure I get them done on time. And she said, well, you're going to go off all the drugs and let's see what happens. And I get home and I open up the prescription, and the prescription is methadone. And I was shocked. I'm going, that's what drug addicts take.
Right. I'm a heroin addict.
Right. And I'm going, what? I'm starting to get a little bit more clear because I'm not so high at this point. I've been off the medicine for quite a few hours, and I'm going, methadone. She actually gave me her private cell phone number because she says, this is going to be living hell. And I went, okay. And it was. It really was a living hell. It was like the worst stomach flu, the worst food poisoning on top of the worst flu. And you have hallucinations. That was fun. That was fun. So I did have this. This
is standard withdrawal, isn't it? Symptoms even with methadone as a support mechanism.
Yes, and I understand that different people have different reactions to getting off the drugs. I was just on a lot of them. My system might be a little bit more sensitive. But,
well, look at if I could just interrupt for a second, look at your body type. You are not a big earth mother kind of person. You're much more delicate and sensitive in terms of the relationship of the forces of nature. You have a lot of air and a lot of fire, and I would say you'd get hit pretty hard if you took drugs or tried to withdraw from drugs. Yep. Either would just hit you. It's like a truck.
It was like a truck. And
well, tell us more. How long did that all take?
The very, very worst of it was 30 days. I lost 30 pounds in 30 days.
What a diet.
Nothing. It's a great diet. Well, I will, because I'm more coherent now, and I look in the mirror and I'm 60 pounds heavier. I don't remember getting.
And you're slender. You
are
slender.
Yeah, I lost a lot of the weight. The toxins build up in your body. It doesn't work so well. And my kids were 2 years older. I'm looking at my children going, what happened? It was very surreal. So the worst of it was for 30 days. And, but during that time, actually it was the first week I was in withdrawal, my insurance company called and said, hey, we're going to send you to a specialist. And I'm like, yay. And I'm feeling horrible. I couldn't touch my hair because it felt like razor blades. I mean, it was just awful. We go into the insurance company and they look me over, and the doctor took a look at my chart that's about this thick, sent me home. I went, great. And we got a letter in the mail saying, well, we verified that we've done everything that we can for you, so you're not going to be covered under insurance anymore for any headache problem.
Can they do that?
They did.
Who knows, huh?
Who knows? They did. I, being Pitta, went into a psychopathic rage for many days.
Broke every wall in the house.
I did. Probably broke every glass in the house. I was going through withdrawal. I was miserable. I was out of my mind. But that anger is not such a bad thing. Because I took one look at this angel of death that was standing next to my bed for 30 days, and I told him to F off. Okay, I told him more than that, but I don't have to say that on your show. I got super mad, and it's like, you're not going to take me, and you insurance company, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to get better. So it took me 2 weeks before I could walk down the stairs by myself.
Wow.
It took me 2 months before I could walk around the block. I couldn't watch TV because the flickering lights, hurt my head. And I would listen to wellness interviews on the internet. I started listening to podcasts about how to eat well, how to, help your body heal, and all that kind of stuff. I did start to learn how to live with pain under tremendous stress, just dragging my physical body around. I didn't have any other option.
We all have to remember the headache hasn't gone anywhere.
Headache's not anywhere.
And when you say chronic, is it like 24/7 or does it come and go?
Nope.
It's all the time.
All the time. Yep. For all the time for 18 years. There's been 5 1-minute intervals that it went away. And one time I had a half an hour.
I bet you got pretty excited.
I got so excited, and then I went into my worst depression when it came back. We were celebrating, and I'm going, I thought it was cruel. I thought God was punishing me. So, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to do this. And I started doing some strange things like rolfing, because my body was bent over from being in bed for so long, and they stretched me out and got me to sit up, because you can be in pain like this and it hurts you more. So you learn to open up. I went to the Y. I went to the warm water pool and exercised with the elderly at first. Did a little bit of yoga, went to a chiropractor, started acupuncture. I started going outside the box, which is kind of unusual for a Midwest grandmother of 6, to start doing all these weird things. And then one morning, I was able to have my grandchildren have a sleepover at my house. And they were, I don't know, maybe 7, 5, and 3. And I got a knock on the door. And there was the sheriffs there saying my son had been killed by a drunk driver.
Oh, my God. Oh, Kathy, I'm so sorry.
And
wow.
He was 30 years old, beautiful soul, artist.
Oh, what a tragedy.
It was such a tragedy. I didn't think I could get any lower.
Any worse, yeah.
I'm in pain. My Jeffy died. So we worked through the grief as a family.
What year was this?
2008.
Not that long ago, 10 years ago. My goodness.
That's my Jeffy. And we now have the largest art scholarship at the University of Minnesota.
Oh, how nice.
In
his honor.
Yeah, we have a golf tournament every year, and we raise money for different causes, including a commercial. When Jeff was killed, somebody pocket dialed an answering machine. So the whole accident was caught on an answering machine tape. and they use that as a commercial to prevent drunk driving.
Someone in the car that killed him?
The driver.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yep. Yep. So they were at a party and they were just going to walk. That's what Jeff did. He's 30 years old. Every once in a while he went and got his drink on. You know, he played poker at the bar and had a great time with his friends. And he was going to walk home or walk the 6 blocks to the party in which they were going to sleep it off at, you know. And one of his friends said, hey, you know, get in the car. Let's drive instead. And my Jeffy had won the poker tournament, was feeling no pain, and he sat down in the car. Well, the driver got angry and took off through a residential neighborhood at about 80 miles an hour.
Mm.
And Jeff died pretty much instantly. So I am, at this point, really devastated. And at his funeral, I remember it so well, at this memorial service, we had it in an apple orchard. Just a few years previous to that, he was married, and I couldn't walk down the aisle. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go take my seat. And Jeff's mother-in-law, Jenny, she came up to me and she put her hands on my face. And she looked me straight in the eye and she said, you can do this. That's been kind of my inner mantra ever since. I took that in. So at this point, I'm like, this is a do or die kind of thing. You know, we worked through the grief. I was trying everything I can, and I needed to go a little bit farther outside the box. And I heard about this thing called energy medicine. Accidentally found a book called Truth Heals.
Mm-hmm.
And called you, Deborah, on the radio show. I mean, I didn't know. I looked at the back of the book and said, hey, House, what the heck is that? And I called up and I got right on your radio show, which doesn't usually happen. But I did. And you invited me to Atlanta. It was February of 2011.
I was having a workshop there.
You were having a workshop there, and I went to the
remember meeting you somewhere in the Midwest. I guess I think of Atlanta as the Midwest.
We've met a few times. So.
Uh-huh.
But that was the first time.
I mean, back then, I remember it really clearly because I could see the headache behind your eyes. I thought, oh, wow, that looks really miserable.
Yeah, it can be miserable. It can.
Or it cannot be, as
right.
you've discovered. That's what you're going to talk about.
That's what I'm going to talk about. So, you know, when we met, you know, I could barely navigate life. You know, I was in a great deal of pain. I was in emotional turmoil. I was suicidal. I was consumed by victim mentality. I was full of self-pity. I was raw from grief. I was full of anger and blame and shame, and I was absolutely desperate for help, and I couldn't take another minute of this pain. So it was there that you worked on me on stage, actually twice that weekend, energetically, and taught me how to properly meditate. You gave me a mantra and taught me a valid form of meditation. And what I noticed right away was the slow and steady relief in my relationship to pain. Pain just, you know, went into the background of my life. It was just kind of background noise. And the suffering began to melt away just on its own accord. It just effortlessly started going into the background. And then, well, I did learn the sutras also, which is an advanced form of meditation. And we can talk about that some other time. And that really helped me feel alive again. Felt me that I was existing, not just existing, but alive. So
let me just say one thing, because that's the best description I think I've heard in a long time of meditation, where you said, oh, my problem went in the background. Because you've probably heard me teach so often that when people meditate properly and they do it, and it doesn't have to be done for years, sometimes we're talking weeks or even months, and your problems do seem to kind of fall to the back. You're not sure where they went, but all of a sudden the you seems more in front or above the problem. So the problem, I'll notice my life still has problems, but they're like down below me, and I'm like coursing along pretty happy above. As you said, might still have a headache, or I might still have, I've had some terrible health problems of my own, and I just sort of float on top of them, and it's like, oh yeah, that's still going on, but it's not interfering with my happiness.
Right.
Right.
And that's a big thing. You think you're in pain and you can't have happiness, or you can't have joy, or you can't have pleasure.
Right. And you can, even with a chronic headache or a significant loss of a loved one, you can still, once you're out of the severe period, and you get into more of a chronic experience, your life can still be happy and full of joy. It can, indeed. Mm-hmm. Tell us more.
So, what I found out about pain is there's these two components. There's the physical part of the pain and the non-physical part of the pain. Like the intense, tangible physical sensation from like an injury, tissue damage. And then there's this emotional, logical, reactionary experience. In other words, I like to say primary and underlying secondary pain. Mm-hmm. It's not the pain that hurts, but the mind suffers too. As the brain does what it does, it desperately tries to find resolution. So the secondary pain is the mind's reaction to primary pain. And what I've learned is that part is more intense and longer lasting. So as the brain kind of naturally zooms in for a closer look, trying to find the solution, the zooming in amplifies the pain, and you become really narrow focused. And the mind just kind of goes through all these memories of all the times that you've suffered similarly to try and find a pattern, a clue, something that leads to solution, because it's trying to survive. They think you're in pain, you might be dying. Part of the brain, maybe the reptilian brain, kind of comes forward and says, we got to figure this out. And the brain turns up the volume, trying to figure it out. And you get caught in this loop of trying to figure it out. And the thoughts begin to take over. Is it going to get worse? Will I die from this? Will I get better? How did this happen? Who's to blame? And am I being punished? What did I do wrong? And this looping starts to happen, and that amplifies the pain, the physical sensation of pain even more. So meditation soothes the circuits that amplify secondary pain.
That's fascinating. Now, have you discovered this through I know obviously experientially, but have you also seen this in anything you've read?
A little bit. I'm just starting to read about what pain really is. And
I'll tell you why I'm asking, because I think you should write about this. I'm pretty well read in the field that you're talking about, and I don't believe I've ever read this. I think that your experiences could become extremely important to others.
Well, that's what I find helps the most, dealing with that secondary emotional, the brain offering up all this stuff. It just amps it up. It puts fire, a little bit more fire underneath the pot. For me, what I like.
And I'm finding this so interesting, because this is validating the experiences I've had of my own with pain. Because this has been my experience, is I get it back there. So when I'm meditating, it's in the form of meditation I teach, as you know, Kathy. I'm always telling people, look, you're still going to be thinking. We can't turn the brain off. It's a constant process of thinking. But if you meditate properly with a mantra I give you, your thoughts will still be going on, but they're back there somewhere. You don't exactly zoom in on them, but you can feel them. You can feel them. And once in a while, you might even actually realize, oh, I'm thinking about that. And then you just let it go and you go back to the mantra, and it continues to process back there, but it recedes further back so that it's like a murmur. It's like hearing people in a restaurant talking, but you can't hear the words.
Exactly.
They're 4 tables over and you hear the blah, 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 but they're not bothering you because you can't actually hear what they're saying.
Right.
It's kind of like that. Yeah. And so I have found over the years that pain is the same for me. And I wonder if it's the same for me because I've meditated so long and so consistently. I wonder if it trains us for pain.
Well, the looping part also keeps us hyper-focused on what is painful. That's very true. So, but to answer your question, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Well, I should have prefaced that when I said I'm well read in this field. I meant in the meditation field. I'm not at all in the pain field. not at all. So I can send you some great references for meditation, and you can go out and you can study pain management and pain theory, and you can combine these two thoughts, which I think you're well on your way to something really profoundly interesting.
Well, I am working with a pain management doctor right now, and we're kind of doing our best to kind of collaborate and write a book in regards to this.
And I missed your sentence there. You said you're doing what with the doctor?
I'm working or collaborating with a pain doctor so that we can put both fields together. Hopefully, that's what we're trying to do anyway. Because
very interesting. Yes, I think that's a super idea, because there you have your field of expertise.
Great.
And you have the experience. So that's the experiential component that the book would.
Right, somebody who has done the work.
To make it interesting, you want to start right with the first person story, of course. Right. So yeah, I'm excited about this, because I think you're really onto something, Kathy. And you know, when I saw that when we announced your talking today on this topic in Facebook, it was really interesting to see that the people who wrote in, and you can go afterwards and take a look at my Facebook page, you'll see they were, this morning, they were all people who are on and questioning this as a solution. So feel free to engage and talk about this with the people who wrote in, because you're the expert. You're the expert.
I really understand. I was in the same place. Like, don't take my pain. I'm not going to be able to move on.
Right.
Anything else?
And my expertise is with opiates is limited to clients and students, and my nephew, who's been to rehab now 7 times, and everyone is so excited right now. He has a whole year clean. And by clean, I mean that a year ago they took him off the pharmaceutical they designed for him to help him withdraw from Oxycontin. You know what it is? It's oxycodone with one molecule flipped, so it's not illegal. That's all it is. It still gives you another altered sense of reality. It still leaves you in an addictive state because you can't go without it.
Right.
So he was on that for 3 years. So technically, according to the law, he's been clean and sober for 4 years, but he would tell you it's only been 1 year, because it's only been 1 year since he withdrew from the pharmaceutical they designed for him. It's really sad. I'm talking about a 26-year-old, otherwise brilliant young man whose life has been ruined since he was 16, just ruined.
Yeah.
So this is a huge topic.
No, I used to take Oxycontin like M&Ms. And when we traveled, the pharmacist said, don't tell anyone you have this in your possession.
Robbed.
You for it. Yeah.
Right. You'll get robbed. It's like wearing a big diamond or something and you're in, Africa. It's not a good idea.
Right. So, we're talking some, major pain. And I have a really pretty good life as long as I keep that pain in the background. And I like to think of meditation, what it did is like pain used to be like a tennis ball in a teacup. Build up the whole thing, and now it's a tennis ball like in a swimming pool.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah, and then
that's great. That's really good.
And the little bit that I've read recently is that meditators who have meditated over 10 years can stop chronic pain 93%. And people who have meditated only 1 week can drop pain 57%.
Wow, those are very interesting stats. I can give you a lot of meditative stats. I've done quite a bit of research on it when I was more interested 30 years ago in convincing the mainstream that it worked. And now I don't need to, because it's become so popular.
Oh, it works. I'm living proof.
You're walking and breathing proof.
Yeah. And if I focus on the pain, I don't.
It gets much bigger, doesn't it?
It's and even kind of writing this up and kind of getting ready to talk about this publicly. Oh yeah, it started kind of saying, Yeah, I'm here and I'm amplifying, but yeah, I can put it in the background, just like you said, that the mantra kind of comes forward and your thoughts just kind of out in the background. So, meditation became my new medication, and there's no negative side effects.
That's a catchy phrase. Put that on your book cover.
Yeah, there's just no negative side effects. So
I think there could be a big demand for you here. Remind me what you did. You had a career. Remind me what your field was.
Well, I used to be a hairdresser, long ago, and then I worked for a plumbing company.
What kind of a company?
Plumbing company. I did.
Plumbing. Yeah, you feel sort of corporate, like you've had some kind of business background.
No, not really. I mean,
well, plumbing is a business.
Plumbing is a business. I started out doing billing, and then I did customer service, and then I did.
That's what it feels like. You feel your left brain's developed. It's a compliment.
A little too much.
Yeah, because there could be a big, I just see you teaching, and then look at the opportunity here for corporations. So corporations are dying for someone who could speak on this topic, that where the audience can relate to you, and audiences will easily relate to you, Kathy. You're very mainstream, and they'll get it. And I want to really encourage you. I know I've encouraged a few of my teachers in my program, Kathy's one of them, to get on TED. This would make it a spectacular TED topic.
I will try. I'm not a trained speaker, but I can work on it.
Well, they prefer you not be.
Oh, good.
No, honestly, they want someone who has a personal story that they feel passionate about that can help the world. You already have what they're looking for. Okay. You absolutely have it. I just listened to a perfect TED talk just now. And
I want the world to know. It's not going to help just pain. If let's say you have emotional turmoil or whatever.
But there's millions of people that are dealing with this, millions that are so addicted to opioids that would love to hear how you managed to walk from it. They'll want to know about this. They'll want to know what that 30 days was like, and look at you, you're standing and talking about it, because it is a rough turnaround. It is. Mm-hmm.
And I did just Google right before we got on how much chronic pain costs the United States annually. It was
in billions.
$35 billion.
Wow. Isn't that something?
A chronic pain person, I think it was $35,000 a year or something like that. How much it yeah, we
and just to back up, the reason I mentioned TED to you, and for all of those who are listening who have a passion about something yourself, again, they're looking for untrained speakers who can get up and tie two words together for about 15 minutes. It's not like an hour or anything. It's 10 to 15 minutes on something that you really feel passionate about that could help the world in whatever topic you're interested in. And in your case, it would lead directly to calls from corporations who would say, come on over here and tell our employees your story. During the lunch break, come tell them your story, because you can help people. You really can.
I really hope so. And it helps my heart to think that I went through 18 years of pain so I could become an expert at it, really.
And so you could help others.
Yeah, so I can help other people who are in pain, and they don't have to be in pain as long as I was.
Right. They might only have to be in it, 18 weeks.
Right.
Who knows? Someone else, maybe 18 minutes, they'll hear your story.
Could be.
Yeah. Well, great. Let's take.
There are times when opioids and narcotics are the perfect tool to use. Absolutely.
Yeah, for about 10 days.
Right. And then what if the people meditated at that time? They wouldn't have to go through, the rest of the there.
No, they're totally a great option for very brief intervals. But, I had a really serious accident 2 years ago, and I managed to get through 5 surgeries. This was a really serious accident, okay? 5 surgeries with not a single opioid. And not that they don't push them on you, and the nurses get really irritated, especially the night nurses in the hospitals. They're like, what do you mean you don't want to take this? Because they're thinking you're going to bug them, in the middle of the night. So they were the biggest pushers. The doctors didn't push at all. But I was like an anomaly that people would come around. This is a huge teaching hospital. And they would come from every floor to look at the woman who's on her fourth surgery and still is on just Advil. But when you take only, and it's not Advil they give you, it's it might be Advil. But when that's your only pain medication, it works. That's the interesting thing, is some little over-the-counter thing actually has quite an impact on a system that's clean.
And a system that's clean.
Right.
I think that's
all right. This was fascinating, Kathy. Stay here, and we'll take a few callers. I know we have. Let me go look here. I'm in the wrong pew. I got to get out of here and go over here and look in the question pew. Stella, I'm looking for Stella. Stella, I see you here, but I can't call on you. Unfortunately, your camera's not activated. I see your question, but can you try to make your camera activated? I can't even call on you for an audio question. I don't see an audio button next to your name, and I know you were anxious to talk to us today. I'll wait a little bit, and then I can always read your question, but I would much rather talk to you in person. That's why I moved my my weekly show over to Facebook, so I could work with people in person, because I can give you so much better quality information if I can see you. And I see Linda Richards says that's all she took when she had her accident, was over the counter. Let me look for you again, Stella. Just make sure that I'm. Stella, you have to come in and put a question in here for me to call on you. Do you see the question box? Can somebody help Stella out and direct her? I see you guys are all here. Nancy, maybe you can tell Stella how to post her question so I can click on her and bring her live. She can come up here and talk to Kathy and me. That'd be great. And in the meantime, I will take a question from. I did see other questions. Hold on a minute. So Lori has a question, but Lori, your camera is not activated. Happy to help you guys, but to call on you, I either need an audio button or a. Here's Dennis. Bring Dennis live. Dennis has got his camera activated. Dennis can come chat with us. We'll give him a minute. While we're waiting for Dennis to come, oh, here he comes. Hey, Dennis, always nice to see you.
Hey, hello.
Have you met Kathy before? Kathy's one of my senior teachers.
Nice to meet you.
She's got a lot of miles here under her belt, a lot of miles on the road. She's very skilled. How can we help you?
Hey, I was kind of wondering about my skills that I can still develop. I also have a trouble falling into a gap during meditation. We were talking a lot about the meditation today, and I was wondering why. I mean, I think my meditation is going very well. I also add sutras at the end, so I'm a modern master student. But as I observe my meditations, I'm kind of noticing I have a hard time falling into a gap. Very rarely, or for a very short time.
Well, you're like the rest of us then. That's pretty normal, Dennis.
Okay.
Let's see Kathy saying the same thing. I mean, we'd all love to live in the gap, but we'd have to live under a rock or on a mountaintop or in a cave, okay, be in the gap all the time. But for our followers here on Facebook who wonder what in the world we're talking about, when you meditate properly and consistently and at least 15 or 20 minutes per day, after a while, you will stop hearing those thoughts that are in the back there, and you will just disappear into this beautiful, vast space of nothingness. And the first time it happens, you'll come to and you'll go, was I asleep? I don't think I was asleep, but I was somewhere. And that's that somewhere, and it's a magic place, it is. But Dennis, you can't assume you're going to go there every minute. If you keep meditating every day, you will go there at some point during every meditation for sure. But maybe only for a minute or two. You know, you're leading a busy, active life. You're a citizen. You're not a monk, right?
Okay.
Right. So you're a citizen of the world. So you've got a pretty active mind. So those of us who live in the world and are very active, and aren't living with the Aborigines or some very different kind of a lifestyle, this is the sort of meditations we're going to have. You might notice that if you go somewhere like to a retreat or on a holiday or someplace where you can meditate more, for example, you might find your gaps get a lot longer.
Oh, cool. So nice. But I am experiencing a lot of benefits, especially from sutra practice. The last year I have. I am developing a lot of abilities, like inspiring people and speaking and teaching,
Wonderful.
also raising awareness.
Well, let me just,
I'm quite happy.
For all of our viewers here who are new to what you're talking about, I teach an advanced form of meditation. Dennis is calling it sutras. I heard Kathy mention it too. And it's for your little more hardcore practitioner who's looking to really maximize their opportunities in life. Honestly, that's really what the sutra program is all about. But as Dennis is mentioning, if you do it regularly, it's another 5 or 10 minutes on top of a regular meditation program. After a while, you do start to develop some pretty interesting skills. And they can be anything, whatever nature meant for you to be and do in this lifetime. They tend to happen. Is that what you're experiencing, Dennis? Is that they're starting to open? Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question, and this is about emotional integration.
Uh-huh.
So, I was doing some of that completion process technique from Teal 1. So working on an inner child, and I've heard you saying that going into past memories is a delicate thing, remembering your trauma from the past, and the completion process is doing just that, going back into past memories and giving your inner child what he misses, what he missed there, and you actually get you don't get so triggered anymore at the situations and about the people that triggered your emotions quite a lot. And I had some success with that. So I was wondering, is it safe to go into past memories, into trauma, or is it not?
Well, let me just comment on what I'm perceiving. First of all, you feel very safe to me and not disturbed in any way. So I think whatever it is you're doing, sounds fine. I'm not familiar with the practice you're describing.
Okay.
I teach, and from a lot of experience with this, I always teach people not to try to retrieve an experience that they've forgotten. So, lots of times people will come to me, especially back in the day when I used to have a private practice. Someone would come in my office and they would confide in me that they thought they had been abused, but that they couldn't really remember it, but that they kind of thought, there were memories of some kind. Sometimes your body will give you a little tiny fraction of a memory, or maybe they'll have a dream and they'll relive something. And I always tell people to honor that information and assume it's correct, but not to dig for more, because the child's psyche is a very, very delicate mechanism. And the adult psyche contains that child's psyche. So I would never ever counsel someone to dig or try to retrieve anything that has been hidden or forgotten. That the psyche did that on purpose for your safety. We have traumatic things happen to us, and they're best left in the past. Now that's not so much the case with adult experiences. So if you've misplaced an accident, you had a terrible accident a couple of years ago and now can't remember it, there I would suggest working with an expert, someone who's qualified to help you with that, because that can indicate PTSD. And there I would want you to be supported in any kind of retrieval or discovery. But that's an adult experience. That's very different from what you're talking about.
Okay, so is there a chance to look into Pandora's box of your childhood when you, I don't know, get to a consciousness that you feel you really can?
I'd be very cautious. I wouldn't be digging around. Okay. Yeah, your psyche definitely eliminates experiences from those who are under about the age of 16. It does it for safety, because your immature energy field and your immature chakras cannot handle that kind of information. And it could be something as you don't remember, you know, your parents got a divorce when you were 6, and you kind of remember it, but you don't really remember it. And you sort of remember there was a lot of heated conversation, but you don't really remember it. Well, just leave it that way and just know that what you want to be dealing with are your emotions today. How do you feel about the fact your parents got a divorce? You see, is how I'd be dealing with a client or a student. I'd be asking them their thoughts about it today, and how can they best change how they feel about it, or adapt to how they feel about it, or go into a state of forgiveness, for example. But I wouldn't be having them dig around and try to recreate that situation.
Okay. Yes, because those emotions are following you, right? If you don't
totally follow. Yes, and there are a lot of unskilled people who fool around with the psyche, and I don't recommend that. I wouldn't fool around with the psyche except in the hands of an expert. Yeah, someone with a lot of expertise. It's a fairly fragile mechanism. Always good to see you, Dennis. You look great. You look. I know I've spoken to you before. You look very healthy and grounded.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I have one last question.
Go ahead.
Can you maybe sense which abilities can I still develop next, or which are the most closest to me to
well, what seems to be developing for you?
So I would like to be able to channel, be more in contact with my intuition, with my guides.
And use it for the benefit of other people, not just yourself, but others.
For the benefit of others.
Hence the word channel. That's why you're using that. You want to be able to guide others.
Yes, that's what I'm doing right now, and that's I feel that my purpose is here.
That all makes sense. I think that's very much going to be part of your wheelhouse, because just looking at you, you familiar with that term, or am I using too much American slang here? Wheelhouse.
Yes, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, that's the American slang. I'm bad with that. I use a lot of it. It means your skill set, natural development for you, because I'm looking at you and you're very open in the higher chakras for 5, 6, 7, 8. You're very open. So you're going to get a lot of higher guidance. You won't be telling people as much about their bodies as you will be about their soul. So you'll get more information from the higher realms. You're very Vata also. So you're already kind of connected to higher realms. So this will be easy for you. This is your natural inclination. And you know, the road to that you're already on is meditation. Meditation's what opens that door. And I'm hearing in your case music. Are you big into music?
Really? Well, I like singing, and I
nice.
play the guitar.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I'm hearing that music is also a gateway for you, of opening you to higher information.
Thank you. But am I grounded enough?
Oh yeah, you're plenty grounded at the moment.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
Like us Vata people, you could float in and out. You could maybe not be grounded next week. I'm not predicting. I'm just saying that we Vata people, we can get ungrounded.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah.
Yes, great talking to you.
Great to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'll look and see if the gal who was trying to come on. Well, here's Christy. Christy, I'm going to invite you up on the screen. Christy's got a question right up Kathy's alley. Let's see if she can join us. I'll give her a minute. Let me make sure. I have to go out of this screen and look at a different one to see if Christy can join us. Christy, I'm going to re-prompt you. I'll give you another try here and see if you can join us. Takes a couple of seconds. Try one more time, Christy. See if you can join us. Well, that was a nice little ping I just heard, but I don't see anyone coming. Let me try one more time to invite her, because Kathy, her question is about, she's been sober for 142 days from Xanax, Adderall, and Suboxone. So let me try one more time, see if she can't join us, because we would love to talk to you, Christy. And if for some reason we can't figure out how to get you on today, we'd love for you to come back next week and answer your question. And while we're waiting to see if she can join us, I will also invite, the next question is from, let me just see if there's another question here on the same topic. Here's a question from Lori. Lori says she's a mom, and she has 3 children in her care. What she needs to know, she says her daughter has advanced from pills to needles in a short period of time. And I read comments about parents losing their families to addiction. I don't know what else to do to help her. I'm very scared she's going to die. Is there something else I can do? Kathy, why don't I let you address that question from...
Well, I think anyone going through stressful situations is, to learn how to meditate so that they can be in alignment as much as possible for the child in pain. Another step that I would consider is getting to an Al-Anon meeting. And when you study the 12-step programs, you can kind of understand the mentality of the addict. And that might also be helpful too. And, just love the child. I've my own son, had some troubles too in that area, not much, just a little bit. And, we're all just trying to find our way out of pain, and just to have open conversation with them, open communication, tell them that you understand. There's lots of books out there about addiction and people hearing thoughts that they feel that they have to have some sort of action on. So reach out for some help, get help yourself, get grounded yourself, get clear yourself, and that energy does flow out into your family. So that's what I would suggest for you without knowing more information. Yeah,
no, that's a good answer. That's a really good answer. You have a lot of wisdom from, it's the most difficult lives that bring the most wisdom. I'm sure you have figured that out by now, that Spirit wanted you to be able to guide others. And if you're floating along with, this fairy tale life full of rainbows and unicorns, it's delightful as it sounds, it doesn't bring a great deal of wisdom.
It is a motivating force to kind of study and to go within.
Not that I wouldn't mind to see a unicorn here anytime soon.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. Just a couple of parting remarks. It's always great to be with you guys on Facebook, and I've really enjoyed having Kathy Hetwer here. She's got a lot to bring us. Just a reminder that I will be in the Bay Area at Conscious Life, in the Bay Area at New Living Expo here at the end of this month, at the end of April, for a workshop. And plus we'll have our booth there, and we'll all kind of get together and hang out. So that'll be a lot of fun if you can make it. It's the San Mateo Convention Center, and there are other good speakers and good things to do for the weekend. It's actually a pretty decent venue. I'm going to be in Europe. I'm going to be in London on Saturday. I'll see if I can do this from heart. Saturday, June 9th, and then I'll be headed from there to, I'll just give you the dates that are confirmed. I'm heading from there to Germany, where I'm going to be at in Hamburg on Sunday, June 17th, and then I'll be in Paris for a workshop on June 23rd. So that's London on the 9th, Hamburg on the 17th, and Paris on the 23rd. Of course, I'd love to see you guys at any or all of those locations. I haven't taught in Europe for a while, and I'm pleased to have been invited back. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I didn't go there for a number of years because I couldn't travel because I'd had a bad fall, and so international travel became a thing of the past, but it's returned. So, Kathy, great to have you here today, and look forward to seeing you all again next week. Until then, you take care. Was I led incorrectly to believe that lady had a question? Did you get the feeling that she had a question? Yeah, I thought so too.